Testing 1 2 3. Testing 3 2 1. Testing 3 2 1. Test 321. Test 1 2 3.
to order the meeting of the Board of Managers at Tarrant County Hospital District on the 8th of October 2020. I have to read a little script here, and it says, pleased we are now able to meet by means of electronic participation thanks to the emergency orders of Governor Greg Abbott and Attorney General Ken Paxton, dated the 16th day of March 2020, which have temporarily suspended certain requirements and provisions of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Though we're not all able to physically meet at the boardroom, most board members are participating today by video conference using the WebEx web conferencing application. And I have to do a roll call. And could people just say yay? Dorothy?
Yay.
Roger? Yay. Did Roger disappear there? He was there. Charlie Powell?
Yay.
Amanda Arizola?
Yay.
Reverend Ralph Waldo Emerson? He's there, but he's off doing something.
Yeah, I do see him.
Ralph, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
There you go. Good.
T.
Yep, I'm here.
So DT, where is he?
I'm here.
Okay. Steve Montgomery? No Steve today.
Steve Montgomery's here.
Steve Montgomery's there.
Always.
Steve Simmons is there.
Steve Simmons is there. Trent Petty.
I don't believe Trent is able to attend today. He had a conflict.
Okay, and Zim.
I'm here.
So we have 10 of the board members. And back to my little script. All right, so. All right. If now we could have the prayer by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and then after that, the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, thank you for the invite to do the invocation today. So if I could ask all board members to just bow with me for a moment. Father, our God, we thank you for gifting us this day and giving us, oh Father, the ability to make it through to the end of the day. We thank you, oh Master, for just life and life more abundantly. We thank you, Father, for how you are seeing about and covering and taking care of our country. We lift up, Father, our leaders. We ask that, oh Father, that you would move in a mighty way with our president and his staff and heal all that needs healing. We thank you, Lord, for our JPS board and the directions you are giving us and how you are giving us clear sight and vision to lead. We thank you for the leaders of our hospital, that you continue to guide them and direct them. And then, Father, we just thank you for every employee that has put their life on the line, that are committed to do the work that is called for in this pandemic time. But Lord, we just thank you again for how you kept us and you supplied us and provided for us. And thank you for keeping peace in this country. Thank you, O Master, for seeing about all of our needs. We pray in thy Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. If we could stand for the allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right.
Suzanne, thank you.
Okay. Next item. In accordance with the board meeting's posted agenda, there were no citizens that desired to speak today. The first order of business on this agenda is the hearing on what's called the LPPF, which is the Local Provider Participation Fund. This is a public hearing of the Board of Managers of Tarrant County Hospital District to consider fiscal year 2019 provider participation program and other related matters, and the public hearing. There are 10 members of the Board of Managers present. Therefore, there is a quorum of the Board of Managers present at the called meeting of the Board of Managers. Agenda item 4. As chairman of the Board of Managers, I open this public hearing today at 13:07 or 1:07 p.m. as required by Chapter 298B Texas Health and Safety Code to consider only the following 3 issues. Number 1, the amounts of any mandatory payments that the Board of Managers intends to require a provider participant to make. And 2, how the revenue derived from these mandatory payments is to be spent. And 3, set the amount of the mandatory payments for the fiscal year ending in 2021 at a percentage of net patient revenue of an institutional healthcare provider located in the Tarrant County Hospital District's geographic jurisdictional area. Then there's the ability to make citizens' comments with a length of time for each speaker to be for 3 minutes. And I have received no emails and no citizens desired to speak at the public meeting. Therefore, I'm closing this public hearing at 13:08 or 1:08 p.m. on the 8th of October 2020. I will now move to item 4B on the agenda, which is to consider a proposed resolution regarding setting the mandatory provider participation agreements and how revenue derived from these programs is to be spent under the Tarrant County Local Provider Participation Program. Each of you has been provided a copy of the resolution prepared by General Counsel with the recommendation of the President and CEO for your consideration, which would be approved on the posted agenda items 4. Is there any discussion that anybody would like to have regarding the resolution? I didn't hear from anybody. So that, if not, then I'd like to entertain a motion and a second to approve the resolution as you folks got it.
Sam, move to approve.
Is there a second?
Dorothy DeBose, second.
Dorothy, second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign, or no. Okay, motion passes. I will now move to item 4C regarding the authorization of the President and CEO to make intergovernmental transfers, parenthesis IGTs, from the Local Provider Participation Fund. I'll need a motion and a second to authorize the CEO and President to make the IGTs.
Mr. Chairman, this is Charlie. I'd move for approval.
Okay.
Second by DT.
Second by DT. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, say no. Okay, now we're on to approval of the minutes. Everybody should have gotten them.
Mr. Chairman, with no discussion, I'd make a motion for approval. I'd recommend approval.
Okay.
Steve McGovern,
Is there a
second.
Discussion? I had one little discussion with Cheryl Hurd on item 7 which is the report from the medical executive staff. Her comment says, "Thank you for the kind words of being a," and it didn't say what she was being. So we've decided that with a consultation to her, it would just be, "Thank you for the kind words about being a frontline individual in caring for the COVID-19 folks." Is that fair, Cheryl?
Yes, sir, that's fair. It was a little more succinct, but that actually works perfectly.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed, say no. Okay, minutes for September 10th, 2020 have been approved. Under the board chair report, Suzanne was going to send everybody a calendar for the event, for the meetings for next year. Is anybody not happy with that or needs to say anything? Can we proceed with it? What do you all want to do? Shall we proceed? Sounds good?
Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
fine.
Fine.
Okay. The second thing, and I've been
Sounds
doing
good,
this.
yeah.
Okay, the second thing that I have, and I've been doing this for my whole life, is to say thank you again for all the people that are taking care of the care of the patients at JPS, both outpatient and inpatient, in this very difficult and trying time. And that's about where'd Robert go? There he is.
There you go. Okay, I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you finish. Sorry, you just skipped out on my little deal. Thank you, Dr. Weber, and Dr. Weber. Thank you for the comments that you make about staff and about the folks that are delivering care every day. It's greatly appreciated, and our communications team and others get that message to our employees. We give them board updates and let them know what's going on, and we greatly appreciate that. Members of the board, what I wanted to do during my CEO report is at the Finance Committee, I told you about some of the new members that were joining the executive team. We have not had a total of 5 new executives pretty much come on at the same time, and we are doing that this time. So what I wanted to do is go a little bit beyond just the introduction via paper. Is we've asked all of our new executives to come into the OPC today and just very briefly introduce themselves. So what I'm going to do is I will give a very a brief introduction, and they will give just a hello to y'all so that you can put a voice with a face and kind of understand who they are and what they're doing for our organization. We are truly honored and pleased to have such great folks joining us. And it couldn't be a better situation for us. So I'm going to start in no particular order, but I'm going to start with Adam Blaine. Adam is going to be our Vice President, Chief Facilities Management Officer. And Adam will play a key role in what we'll be doing in a variety of issues, including, all of a sudden I got feedback. He'll be dealing with a lot of our existing facilities and trying to make sure that we are up to code and hitting the standards that we need to meet with our buildings that, as many of you know, are a little bit older, a little bit challenging. Adam will play a key role in that. Adam will also play a key role in when we start looking at new buildings and how we build them, and working with the program management team, which I'll talk about here in a minute. But Adam joins us with a long history. He's got over 25-year track record of successful strategic and tactical planning and leadership in numerous healthcare organizations, but primarily down in Houston at Memorial Hermann. And if any of you have ever been to Memorial Hermann, that is a large organization with many facets. It has old buildings, new buildings, and buildings in between. So he's pretty much seen it all. So I want to turn it over for a very brief introduction of himself to Adam Lane. So Adam.
Hello all. Robert just gave me instructions, just hello. So there we go. So I've met some of you before in a couple meetings, a planning meeting and a finance meeting. I'm really excited to be back in Texas. I'm a native Houstonian, and as Steve and Charlie know, I'm a Longhorn, a fellow Longhorn, and so we have a lot ahead of us. I'm really looking to the future here, and I'm excited about the future. It is clear from our #1 ranking that the possibilities are endless here, and I'm really excited to be here. And having gone to school in Fort Worth after I finished at UT, it's nice to be back home.
Good.
Okay.
Welcome.
Adam, thank you very much. There are some really nice qualities to him that we appreciate. There are just the school issue is a little bit of a concern, but Doug has that same concern. So some of that did not really come through in the interview process, but they were overwhelmingly good. We decided to go ahead and hire them anyway.
Your jealousy is pathetic.
Yes, and Robert, you will pay for that immensely.
Well, I've already paid for it because. Go ahead, Charlie.
I'm just saying, based on what I saw on the football field Saturday, none of us Longhorns should be bragging too much.
Well, it's interesting that you brought that up, Charlie, because I was giving some grief to Karen Duncan, and she's from Ohio, and I told everybody in our last meeting that when you have two pro football teams, the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals, what do? You support football teams in Pennsylvania and Texas. And then the Browns come down and just obliterate the Dallas Cowboys. So I have learned, as I should learn, never to say anything about Karen Duncan, about where she's from or the football team she supports, because they will turn it around. Speaking of football teams and their favorites, we have a bit of a problem with our next candidate, or our next employee. Dina Dent you will find Dina to be exceptional at everything, except what she's about to tell you about where she grew up and some of her favorites. But other than that, she is 100% great for us. Dina is going to be our Vice President CNO. As you know, we've taken Wanda and moved her into an executive role, particularly in light of survey readiness and getting our team prepared for the survey. We really needed a great level of oversight. And so Wanda will continue to play the keen role that she's played for nursing, but much more in an oversight role. And Dina will actually be dealing a lot with the daily challenges and the operations that we have. Dina has had a decade of experience in nursing, and she's done a lot of different facets of nursing. And she was recently with Our Lady of the Lake in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But I'll let her introduce herself. We are certainly proud to have her on this team. She's already made some neat inroads with the nursing staff and certainly with her executive colleagues. If not for that just one small issue, she really is perfect. So, Dina.
Thank you, Robert. That one small issue would be, I am born and raised Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm an Eagles fan.
I want to talk about that too.
Yeah, yeah, I am. I'm looking forward to November 1st. It's going to be awesome. And outside of JPS, you will see me with my Eagles mask on. I had it specially made, and I'm just so excited to wear it on that Sunday. So thank you all. I am excited.
Candidates. We got to start there.
I'm going to make something else that you can wear as well.
Yeah. Where's the mute button? Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm excited to be here and to have the mentorship of Wanda and the extraordinary work that she's done around nursing and this executive team with putting the patient first and the patient in the middle. So thank you all for having me, and I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Excited to have Dina join the team. I think her experience, particularly with like organizations that are very mission driven, she's really got a strong track record with dealing with tough issues that we're dealing with, such as our boarding issues that we're challenged with and our throughput issues. She has a really strong track record of helping organizations with throughput. And you all know that any time, and certainly Dr. Weber can attest to this, when you're getting 400 people a day or 380 to 400 people a day in your emergency room, it's challenging when you have so many, just a limited amount of beds, and you got to move those folks through, not to have a boarding issue and not to try to figure out throughput. The other challenge that we have with throughput is when we do have somebody that needs to move to another facility, when they don't have a paying source, it is very difficult to place them in a community rehabilitation center or any other levels of care that JPS may not have when they're about to move on to the next level of their care. So it is challenging. So Dina really comes to us with a great track record. Our next new employee is Doug Chung. Doug is going to be our Vice President of Ancillary Services, and that's going to include, for those of you who remember that, it's going to include radiology, lab, respiratory therapy. It's going to include the pharmacy. Doug will report directly to Karen. Doug is originally from this area, but he is actually coming back because he's been down in Houston. And he was with some strong facilities down in Houston, and he too has a really strong record with laboratory management, dealing with pharmacy, and he is a very strong individual for metrics and outcomes. And that's what really came through in his interview. I will also tell you, members of the board, you all know that one of our goals here is to hire people who have a balance of mind and heart. You want somebody that has great skills, but if they have great skills, they'll forget sometimes why they're ultimately here, that we are all here for the patient. And at the same time, when all of our hearts are with our patients, we also have to think about the operations, and we have to think about the finances, and we have to think about the practicalities of really trying to provide the most care to patients. So Doug and the others really fit that category of a balance of heart and mind. So again, Roger, I apologize. Doug does come with a challenge as well, but we hired him anyway, and we do really like him. So Doug, go ahead and tell them your challenge.
Yeah, so I'm an A&M guy, and I went there for undergrad and grad school. So, but glad to be back in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. Adam and I are going to have to work on our working relationship and somehow get through that. We don't play each other anymore at Thanksgiving, so I guess that helps, I guess. But I'm actually split family. My brother and sister went to that other school in Austin, and I chose. I made the right choice of going to A&M. So. I'm really happy to be here. As I said in my introduction, JPS, it's like coming home for me and really giving me an opportunity to give back and to serve a community in which I grew up in. And so it's come full circle for me. And that just, as I make the drive in every single day, I'm reminded of that. And I'm kind of living out what I really wanted to do and where I really wanted to be and be able to provide as many services as we can to our patient population. So. Thank you for having me, and I'm, again, real excited to get started and embedded into the culture of the facility.
Robert, this is Reverend Emerson. I just have one question before you introduce the next person. I just want to know from Doug and Adam and Dina, because she came from Baton Rouge recently, did they really come to work at JPS, or were they running from the hurricane?
It's an added bonus.
Yeah, we don't ever ask them those difficult questions in the interview. We're just glad they're here. We don't care how they got here.
Doug, listen, take it from an Aggie. They're going to look at you funny when you walk down the halls. That's just jealousy. So just
absolutely.
That's just you, Roger. That's just you.
Yeah. The one thing I will tell you all as board members, we talk about being named the #1 hospital in the United States, and we talk about the subdivisions of that award and the #1 teaching hospital. I will tell you in all honesty that the pool of candidates that we have been receiving has been exceptionally stronger than we have been accustomed to. And I think a lot of that is because of the national accolades that you as a board have helped us achieve. And the candidates that were selected that sit in this room now came from a stable of really strong candidates. In most cases, Kieran and I, for that ultimate decision that Kieran and I had to make, many of these candidates had a second and a third place finisher who were incredibly competitive. There's not a candidate that we brought on board that got it because, well, we really didn't have a strong pool and they kind of look good. These people won their candidacies. They competed with some really tough candidates, and they got here for a reason, and we're greatly appreciative. I'm going to introduce Daphne Walker, and I want to introduce Daphne for a couple reasons. I know you as board members know Daphne well, but since this is our first time in a full board meeting and we are live streaming, I wanted you all to know Daphne. The thing that is so incredibly fascinating and wonderful about Daphne is the fact that she started her career as a nurse, and she worked her way up through nursing ranks and got to high levels of positions in the nursing field before she decided that she would go to law school. And at the same time she went to law school, she also was still continuing to do nursing. And so she is pretty amazing as to what she's been able to do. I can't imagine going to law school and being a nurse at the same time and raising 2 children. I think that speaks to the caliber of the person that she is, to balance those kind of duties at home, duties at school, and duties at work as a nurse. So she's impressive. So I wanted you to get one more opportunity, but more importantly, I wanted the community. Amanda asked the question if we had already sent out a communique to the public at wide. We are sending out communiques to the public on all of these all of our new employees. So it will be part of a package, and that's going to come through our communications department. So Amanda, that's a great question, and we'll be sending that out so that we had the opportunity to have this whole new group be introduced to the community. But Daphne, this is an opportunity for you obviously to be seen on live streaming. So if you don't mind, it's all yours.
Thank you. And it's a pleasure to be meeting with the board again. And, one thing that you may not know about me is that unlike a lot of attorneys, I am not competitive at all. So to my incoming classmates, I won't point out all the words that Robert just used to describe me, unlike the, digs that he made at you about your teams and your schools and all of that. But anyway, it is such a pleasure to be here, and I'm very excited to be joining JPS with this great class that's coming in, and we're having a great time getting to know each other, and I'm looking forward to serving my capacity as general counsel.
Daphne is, what she mentioned to y'all in the interview as well is she's one of 2 people that I know from Hereford, Texas. And so my thought is that there may just be 2 people in Hereford, Texas. And I know that the other person I know doesn't live there either. So I don't know what's in Hereford, Texas now, but if I don't think much, but
it's a bunch of cows. So.
A bunch of cows, a bunch of cows, and no Daphne Walker.
That's right.
So we are very, very pleased and excited that she is joining us, and I think she will be an asset to you board members and certainly us on the team. She has definitely hit the ground running, and I'm greatly appreciative of her hard work. Our next new member of the team, I think, is going to make some really strong inroads for us. Parkland was going through a bit of a reorganization. And in that reorganization, it gave us the opportunity to find Charles Horn. Charles Horn is another one of those talent sources that has that gift of mind and heart. It was so apparent in the interview that we had with him. Karen and Alex met with him originally, along with some other team members, and then I had the opportunity to meet with him. And before I met with him, all the execs were saying, "Oh, he's great, he's great." And I said, "Well, it's hard to put him on a pedestal." And when he came in and interviewed with me, it was apparent what a talented guy he was. So I want to introduce to y'all Charles Horn. So Charles, if you would mind, say a few things about yourself.
Oh my goodness. After all that. But I'm very blessed and grateful to be a part of the JPS family. And let me say this, in going through the interview process, I was really struck by the culture of family that is here. And even though going through the interview process, I met some of the employees, and the fact that they were able to quote those 3 magnificent phrases about own it, seek the joy, and don't be a jerk. They were just kind of rattling that off. And that was, okay.
He started running to Charles. Y'all are not in this room, but everybody's coming at Charles, and Charles is looking around going, "What's happening to me?" No, they just couldn't see you.
Now
we can hear you, but not see you. Now we can see you.
Okay, don't ask me to start again because I don't remember. But I was really taken by just the family and culture, and through all of that, I knew I had to be here, and plus the impact that and commitment, particularly talking to Dr. Duncan about the community, and that is a passion of mine, is community, and really addressing equity without getting into the weeds in that, but equity and disparity and access and utilization across the board is a conviction for me, and hearing from Dr. Duncan just sold me on that piece. So just briefly about me, I don't say this too loud, but I am a Seahawks fan, but I don't say that too loud. But originally from the Puget Sound area, and worked with a dynamic organization there particularly around hospice and palliative care, and which really kind of got my appetite in doing what I do, and then had the opportunity to work with Parkland for a period, and in the areas of retention, diverse recruiting, and cultural competency training, and around supplier diversity and leveraging employee engagement, around ERGs and employees resource groups, and really leveraging the voice of employees to really influence policy and culture, and supporting supplier diversity as well, and being a resource because they live in the communities that we serve. So it was really my experience in those spaces was kind of culminated to being here in this space. So I'm very happy to be here, and I look forward to working with these dynamic leaders and the clinics as well. They're doing great work. So thank you.
Charles, thank you very much. The next individual I want to introduce to you all have known, and I first really need to thank Reverend Emerson, because we first met this individual, and you all met this individual as a consultant to JPS, as he helped the board in its thought processes and tried to figure out best ways to be the most effective and efficient board we could have. So if it weren't for Reverend Emerson attending a conference and meeting Alex Dubuclet, I'm not sure that we would have had the opportunity to know Alex. So we had the opportunity to know Alex from that standpoint. Alex had an interesting upbringing in the sense that he would spend half of his years growing up in New Orleans and the other half of his years growing up in Chicago. And I think that dynamic really has sort of given you an idea of the kind of individual that he is, because he has a flair and a finesse for doing things. And I think he's going to lead our Human Resources Department as our Senior Vice President of Human Resources to higher levels. You know, when we lost Nikki to New Jersey, and then lost Pia to New Jersey, which again, I don't understand why you'd move to New Jersey, but nonetheless, when you lose them, you think, okay, where are we going to go? And the great thing is we've got others that want to not only follow in their footsteps, but then go and advance from there. And I think Alex is exactly in that ilk. And I think Alex will do a wonderful job for us. So Alex, if you don't mind saying a few words about yourself, that would be great.
Thanks, Mr. Early. Hello, everyone. I am so pleased to be here and working with all my fellow JPS teammates and supporting this organization and the community that it serves. It is a blessing for me. And I just want to, just a quick note, since Mr. Early mentioned the board. Even in this capacity, I recently worked with several board members, Ms. Arizola, Dr. Weber, Mr. Bowles, and others. And just the commitment and passion they show for this organization is always just amazing to me. I reached out to Mr. Fisher, needing information, asking for his counsel on a couple of items, and he was so quick to respond. It's that responsiveness, commitment, that just makes me know I made the right choice of being here, and I'm really appreciative of the opportunity. So thank you, and hello.
You will notice, if you'll keep the camera on Alex for a second, or can we do that? Maybe we can't while I'm talking, because Alex is not in the OPC with the rest of us. He's in his office. You may not have noticed that right behind Alex is a putter and 2 golf balls. He has actually not put any furniture in his office because he's trying to mimic the 8th green. Alex is an avid golfer, and what we're all interested in here on the staff, because we see a lot of Alex's serious side, and Alex is definitely the most dapper of all of us. We're all wanting to sneak out to the golf course and see if he golfs in his suit. The bet is that he keeps his suit on, but he loosens his tie when he golfs. So we're interested in seeing Alex. So members of the board, that is your new executive members, at least 5 of them that have joined our team that we are excited about. We think it's going to take JPS to higher levels. And I think what you're going to see is that we have diligently, you as board members and we as staff have diligently worked on a cultural change at JPS. We are very firmly believing that that has traction. Now I think you're going to see JPS at higher levels, from patient care and quality and everything within our facilities, and then moving JPS into the role that it should be playing with its bond package and what we should be presenting to the community. So we are excited by our new team members. They have been welcomed by their colleagues, and I think it's going to be a great working relationship. In regards to that, Dr. Weber, I would like to say and give an update to the board members that the Commissioners Court at its Tuesday court meeting approved the project management team of Broadus to come in and assist JPS in our efforts to figure out exactly where we're going, what we should do, how we should do it, and how we get a lot of those preliminary things on the ground. As you well know now, the Blue Ribbon Committee has given us a good look forward, but the Blue Ribbon Committee was written now almost 4 years ago. And the Blue Ribbon Committee is obviously in that time period going to see some changes. That's an organic document, not a document carved in stone. The other thing that's significantly different is a pandemic and what you do in a pandemic. What lessons did we learn from the pandemic that might be able to help us in a bond package? And some of that may be that maybe there's not the 100% emphasis on beds. We've learned a lot through the telehealth approach. We've learned a lot about going to where people live. And obviously, we're going to need more beds. Obviously, we need updates in facilities. But I think the pandemic has caused us to ask new questions and look at new ways. So, Mr. Chair, what we will be doing is we will look at that contract and make sure that everything in that contract is still applicable. We will make sure of what aspects of that contract we think are the most useful. And we will be, JPS, you as a board and us as staff will be the ones that implement and ultimately sign the contract. So we will, in all likelihood, be coming to you at our next November meeting with the actual signature I do need to go through legal and make sure what we need to do, because that firm was already recommended by the board and then it was approved by the court. So I want to make sure what obligations we as an organization have and you as a board have. But I will definitely seek Daphne's input on that and figuring out the exact right thing that we need to do. But I did want to give you all an update and let you know that the court, through its deliberations, and they had a lot of discussion and a lot of debate and discussion, did go with the recommendation that we'd originally given them, and I'm thankful for that and appreciative. And that is one more sign to the public of what a close relationship that this board and we as staff have with our county commissioners. And I am greatly appreciative. And even those that thought maybe that there should be another firm are firmly behind the go forward and trying to figure out where JPS goes. So I think you as board members should feel very confident with those who appointed you. And I'm certainly very confident in our commissioners and our judge in the partnership that they want to create with us. So, Mr. Chair, at this time, that's all I have. I know that we have Dr. Hurd up next, but that's what I have. If y'all have any questions of me or any of the new members of the team, we collectively will be happy to answer them.
Robert, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I just have one question for Robert. In selection of the broadest, my question is, did the commissioner select and now give them direction that they will see direction from JPS board, or are we going to still be sitting where the commissioners are giving some direction and we become after the fact? I would hope at some point it is us who now is giving the consulting firm directions on where we see we're headed more than, and we pass that by the commissioner's court.
I think, Reverend, that's exactly right. Now, I will tell you that I think there is a enrichment in the partnership that we have with the court. I don't think it's a they review and then we must accept. I don't think it's a case where we devise and we tell the court. I will tell you that I think the working relationship that I've seen through the court members and the judge, I think has been pretty phenomenal. And I've talked to my colleagues at other public hospitals who have gone through bond packages, and they've not had quite the levels of support that I think we have from our commissioners. So I see it as a vibrant partnership, and I don't see any one telling the other one anything. And I'll give you a point of that, Reverend, why I think that's important. The county commissioners, although you are the pastor of a large church with a constituency of people that have not only your direction from the standpoint of you as the pastor, but they give you insights into what's happening in the community. That's hugely helpful. And if you take that threefold time and increase it, that's what our county commissioners have. They have a true voice to the community. Those people are electing them. Those people are telling them in town hall meetings what they want to see, what they think this community should be. And I think we should listen to that voice. They are a great conduit to the community for us. And we should listen to that. At the same time, we're the ones that are here in daily operations. We're going to know the effects of what's going to happen if you expand by 20 rooms, what that's going to mean for FTEs and what that ultimately is going to be. If you look at the complexity of mental health alone, you can be guided by emotional decisions that will create a 30-year nightmare for you in mental health because you've made the wrong decisions and you've hurt people. If you pragmatically, methodically look at what we need to do just in the example of mental health, and you parallel that with some of the needs of the community, but yet I think we're also in a position to tell the community some of the things that we can do for mental health that will help them. And I think our commissioners will open up a lot of those doors for us to have that level of communication. So with all due respect to the process, I think, Reverend, what we have is a very vibrant partnership with the Commissioners Court, and I welcome it. I think your voice and their voice will make for something in our community that we can hopefully this community will look back in 50 years and say, I'm very thankful for that board and that administration and those county commissioners, because look what they built. And that's where I want to be, not short term. So great question, Reverend, and I hope that answers what I think is a really good partnership. Any other questions that y'all board members have in any realm?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I just want to make a quick comment and, excuse me, and welcome the new members of the executive staff. I am very eager. It certainly seems like today is opening a new book or starting a new chapter, certainly with introductions to all the new faces and the new people. And I'm really excited about that. And really excited about the diversity, as well as the diversity in sports teams and pro teams. It will make Saturdays and Sundays a little more exciting around JPS. I would be remiss, though, I thought that we might have an opportunity as a board to have a final meeting with Neil Adams and thank him for his many years of service to JPS. Not only his service as general counsel and attorney, but also for his many years of service on the board of managers itself. I know that in some way he's helped each and every one of us professionally and personally. And this board certainly owes him a more ceremonious send-off than just simply him not being around anymore. He laid a strong foundation for Daphne and her new team, and in a lot of cases kept this hospital, all the doctors and all the nurses and all the professionals and everybody that works there that keeps people safe all those days. He's kept us all safe from an overall umbrella picture. And I don't know if Neil's watching or hearing or listening. I just wanted to express my heartfelt appreciation to him and his many years of service to this system.
Roger, I certainly appreciate the comments, and I couldn't agree with you more. You don't take somebody who's provided 19 years of their life to an organization and not have a proper send-off. We are struggling with how best to do that for Neil and how best to do that for Trudy Sanders, who gave us 40 plus years of her life. The COVID world causes us to have some level of frustration in celebrations. It's a little more difficult, but I don't want you or any board member to think that Neil Adams is that's the last you'll hear. There is a debt of gratitude and a tribute to anybody that gives that kind of time and attention to the details of making JPS a better place. So we will definitely do that. We don't in any way want this meeting to represent the fact that we're saying goodbye to Neil. That will be done in a proper manner. And we as staff, and we will meet with you and your fellow officers to figure out the best way to do that. But we, Roger, will be coming to you all with some ideas, and you can reject them or accept them, but we would not let Neil leave the organization in a quiet walk-off right into sunset approach. That's not that deserved, and it's not warranted, and it's what we do to people that have given a lot of their time and talent to JPS. So, and Neil is certainly in that category. And we have appreciated Neil and all of his work and all of his efforts. So we will make that a formal type situation, and we will make it right. And we will do the same for Trudy. I know that Dorothy had a comment about that, and part of the reason that we have the luxury of having Dina here is the sadness of having Trudy, who, for whatever reason, thought 40 plus years was enough. I'm still mind boggled by that. She has at least 20 more years in her for us. But nonetheless, we will do that for those incredible people those giants that we stand upon their shoulders, and we will continue to do that. So, Roger, good words, but we agree with you 100%.
Yeah, Roger.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
No, that's all. That's all I have, unless there are any other questions.
No, for Roger, this is in no way the last meeting for Neil. We will make something work. We just don't know what it is, but it'll happen. Next thing I have is report from the Medical Executive Staff Committee requiring discussion, update, deliberation, action, and/or approval. Cheryl Hurd.
Thank you, Dr. Weber. I appreciate the opportunity. As y'all can see from your packet right now, we don't have any items up for approval, although I keep warning you guys some stuff's coming through. I will be brief and give you an update and explain why some of this is a little bit delayed. Myself and my fellow officers, as well as the other members of the Medical Staff Executive Committee, are really overhauling a lot of things to try and, not only expedite and update, but also try to make things more user-friendly and also ensure that we're still bringing in the highest quality, best practitioner we possibly can here. So we've got a privileging review project, credentialing review, we're doing a bylaws review and update and all sorts of things. All of that's going on behind the scenes. And as soon as I have more information, I will certainly update the board on that. But I would also, if it's all right, I'd like to take an opportunity just to add some thanks to a variety of people, if I may have just a moment. First and foremost, thanks to the board for the opportunity to continue to be here and work at JPS, and the support that you provide for our team here has just been ginormous. But I want to really particularly thank the members of our executive and non-executive administration team, because while you guys continue to give us accolades and say thank you for being on the front lines, if they weren't here on the so-called back lines, we couldn't be on the front lines. And I appreciate all my backline workers. I appreciate people being the face of JPS. I appreciate all the assistance that they give us so that we can take care of our patients here, because without them, we wouldn't be able to do any of this. So I just wanted to say that. I do also want to thank Neil Adams and his crew. They've helped us as medical staff too, and I really appreciate all of their assistance throughout the years. I want to throw one last kink in. We're talking about all the different football teams. I don't know if y'all can see this, but I graduated from SMU. Go Ponies! Although I did graduate from Texas A&M Health Science Center College of Medicine for my medical school degree. That's all. Thank you, Dr. Weber.
Oh my goodness, goodness, goodness. Charlie, we're in trouble. Yes. Steve, can you live through this? I don't know where Steve went.
I'm here. Yeah,
I think it's great.
Yeah, is
Hey,
it who is there today? Is it Jake Montgomery or Elwood Montgomery? Which one?
I got both in the office today.
Okay.
Yeah, the Blues Brothers.
That's right.
Hey, Chuck,
Yes, sir.
I don't want to get you out of order, but Cheryl led into this, bringing up teams again. I know sometimes we can joke about where we went to colleges and all that. Probably when I went to college back in the 1700s, UT was probably all there had. But I'll just tell you that what I'm excited about, and I think Roger hit upon it, I think everybody on this board hit upon it, to you and the executive team, both Karen, both Robert, the executive board members, I am excited. I think the new team mates being added to the JPS team, the future looks exciting. So I commend all the work that went into and welcome each and every one of those individuals. Obviously, we worked with Alex before. I reached out to Daphne to welcome her. There's several I haven't got around to, but I think we've added some tremendous, when we're talking about teams, I think we've added some great new talent to the JPS team.
Great. Thank you. The next thing we have on the agenda is department update. For Ralph, the Yes Network, and sort of give a little summary of what they do and why they do it, so that we become familiar with the faces and with what they provide and how they do it. And so for today, it is. Go ahead. It is
Dr. Weber. Let me interrupt you real quick at the beginning
Sure.
of that. You broke up quite a bit, and so I think some people missed some of the things that you said. And I definitely got the gist of what Dr. Weber was talking about, but this really started under the leadership of Ralph Emerson when Pastor Emerson asked me if we could bring in departments to give you all as board members insights that you would not normally have. And that was very helpful and effective, I think, for all of you. And it also gives the ability for you to see some of the things you would not ordinarily see just coming into a board meeting. And today we're going to feature the communications department. And we're going to try to flip these 1 month to the next. One will be clinical and one will sort of be the non-clinical side, although it's hard to communicate really what communications does from a clinical or non-clinical side, because they're almost everything. They have so many clinical messages that go out, and they serve such a role in trying to decipher the medical world to a lay world and trying to understand that. And at the same time, they're dealing with everything from open records requests to some of the challenges that we have where people want to find out more information about JPS. So, Dr. Weber, I didn't mean to say anything in addition, but I know that people couldn't hear you.
Yeah, perfect.
So we have for you all our Vice President of Communications, Diana Brodeur, and Diana's going to walk you through a few of the things. And I will not steal any of her thunder, but I will tell you that our communications department and JPS as a whole, and you as a board, always look to as much money as we can possibly gain from any possible process and putting that directly back into our patients. And so we don't have an excessively large communications funding level. Our communications team, and I know that I've discussed this with Reverend Emerson on many occasions, and with many of you, and that is where's our 4-page color brochure, and why don't we have that, and why don't we do this television commercial or that? We have to take different approaches. But what I've been impressed with Diana Brodeur and her team is they don't have a large budget, and they are getting information out to our patients that some of you may not see what goes out in all circles, but our patients are really becoming informed about what we need. To Amanda Arizola and the role that she will help us play in the future of getting to other layers of a community. And I know the relationship that she and Diana have served quite useful in reaching out places where we had not historically been. And I think you'll see a great deal of that. So Diana, why don't you talk to us a little bit about the things that y'all are doing?
Absolutely. Thank you all. It's great for a department that spends all its time talking about what others are doing. It's really nice to have a few minutes to reflect on what we do, why we do it, and how we do it. I will say I graduated from Marquette University. We don't have a football team, so I can move on with my business here.
Pretty good at basketball, though.
Yeah, we do okay sometimes. I have been at JPS now for 4.5 years, all of it in the communications department. And the scope of the department has not really changed over time. We still handle, for those tuning in, we handle all of the internal communications, all of the external communications, executive and corporate communications. We handle the public relations, and we handle the media relations, all out of this department. We have a small department of 12 people to handle that responsibility. So like Robert said, we have to be really smart about our resources, finding the right resources for us, determining the efficacy of what we are doing at any given time, and constantly reevaluating the platforms we use and if they are reaching the people we need to reach, if they are meeting the needs of our patients in our community. And that's a constant process and something that we revisit over and over, as well as identifying new platforms to reach people in ways we haven't before. And this year, it makes me think of podcasting. We couldn't have had a better year to launch podcasting. With people being at home and with COVID, it was a forum and a platform that was very well received. And it was started by Dr. Glenda Mutinda. The idea came to us from Dr. Glenda Mutinda, who's the Director of Interprofessional Wellbeing. And she felt that there was a real need and heard a calling for well-being podcasts. And we took that idea and expanded it and developed the JPS podcast, which is now in its 2nd season. And now, with the success we've had there, we're building a suite of podcasts. You can listen to the very first episode of The Essentials with Robert Early, which will be an ongoing and popular series. And we expect to revisit podcasting with Glenda Mutinda as well. This year, well-being is what people need to hear and what people are asking for. So finding new platforms like podcasting, like some of the other technologies we're exploring to communicate with people, is something we are very much in the business of. Some other areas we've had success, we revamped our website, and we did that. All of our successes really come not when we talk and we decide what people need to hear, but when we listen to people for what they need and how they want to receive that information, what platforms, what languages. That's when we have our greatest successes. And so our other wins, the website has been a tremendous win. We revamped that about a year ago now. It received an award for its redesign, which was overdue. Our last website was very difficult to navigate. It had tons of information that simply was not accessed by the patients who were our primary audience for the website. So we took a real hard look at that. We used data, we used analytics, and I think the best thing that we did was we focus grouped it with patients. Jessamy Brown from our team sat with dozens and dozens of patients in waiting rooms, in clinics, in hallways, and worked through the website with them to find out how they were using it, what they needed, what was missing, and we redesigned the website off of that. And we're pleased that it got the honor that it did, the national honor this year for its website redesign. But more importantly, we're glad that it's being used by patients now. In numbers that we didn't see before. Before, the #1 page accessed by both the public and by our internal team members was the cafeteria menu. Now, with all of the information that we want people to get off of our website, I don't want to take anything away from the cafeteria menu and nutrition services. I love the cafeteria and I look forward to what they have on the menu every day. But I think there was a lot more that we really wanted people to be able to get it on our website, and more that they wanted to find there too. So that speaks to our website. Another big win that we've had lately is, yeah, go ahead. I'll keep going, Chuck.
Yeah, now I got you back. Okay.
Okay. External communications has been a big win for our team. We have spent a lot of time building relationships and listening to the information. What information did the public want from us? What did our media partners want from us? What information did we need to get out? How did we need to get that out? How did we need to share? How did we need to share on social media? What were they looking for? And we've spent a lot of time developing relationships in that space, as well as developing tools that really make all this information that we have data, we have stories, making that more accessible to people. 2 examples I have of that is the Yes to JPS website, which was able to provide and continues to provide a lot of information on the bond referendum and the project going forward. And the COVID hotline, I think, is another really good example of that. That's the number that you can call in every day to find out some data on the COVID patients here at the hospital on any given day. And those tools really have served us well to get our information out, and they're examples of how we take advantage of what people are telling us that they want to hear and they want to do. As we move forward, I'll just kind of wrap up talking about where we're headed, some of the strategies going forward. When you're building a brand and when you're trying to really stabilize your reputation in the community and who you are and really teach people of all that we have to offer, it makes a lot of sense to be a soloist in that space and to have a really refined, perfect message like a soloist on a stage. And now what we are doing is we are building a chorus. We are building a chorus of a lot of people. We are 12 people in this department, and we want dozens and dozens of people to be sharing their authentic stories about JPS. And that's what we're doing. And we're doing it with what I like to call a multiplier effect, really an amplifier effect. And academic affairs is a great example of partnering with us to do just that. Dr. Tricia Elliott and Diana Singer and their whole team advocated for their residencies who had a need to connect with their communities that weren't well served by mass communications from JPS. We had lots of audiences we had to reach, and they had a conversation that they wanted to have. They wanted to be able to recruit, they wanted to be able to share and have scholarly conversations, academic conversations, and social conversations in that residency space. And so partnering with them, we've been able to build out a website customized specifically for that. They contracted out for that and built out something that is just right for them, as well as launching a lot of social media platforms where they can have the conversations they need. And now suddenly we have dozens and dozens, perhaps hundreds of people having conversations about the work that's being done at JPS, about the technology and the services we provide in a way that we simply weren't doing before. So that's a real win for us. I'm going to end on some slides here. I felt like I really had to put in a slide or two, so here we go. I'm going to speak right now about the evolution of a really good idea. And what you see here is a selfie wall that we put up. We found that we were listening again, and we heard people say they wanted to connect in a new way with JPS. People want to document their experience. It's something very human, right? You want to have a historical record of your experiences, and we want them to be able to share those stories, whether they were team members or whether they were patients. And the way you do that these days is a selfie, right? So we put up these selfie walls with a quote from one of our patients who has an incredible story. And she came to us, she was told she had days left to live, and because of the care and the treatment she received here, she has a lot more time with her daughter. She was the first person to stand in front of one of these selfie walls. That's her quote, "I'm here because of JPS." It was a story you may be familiar with. It was also on the local news. And we put these selfie stations up. And in the beginning, we had a lot of people do exactly what we expected, exactly as they were designed, stand there and take their pictures and post, "I'm here because of JPS," and tell a little bit about their story. And then something different happened. You can go to the next slide, William. This happened. And I know when you look at this right now, you think, Diana, that's not a selfie station. You've created a graffiti wall. And in the very beginning, sure enough, our team members, we had white spray paint to cover over what people might put on our beautiful selfie wall. And then we let it ride. We said, let's see what people do with this. And they communicated back to us in a way that we didn't expect. They took this wall, and instead of taking pictures of themselves to brag on JPS or to highlight their own stories, they wanted to talk back to people at JPS. And if you go to the next slide, William, I'll show you close up some of what is on this wall. They said, "Thank you, essential people. I'm still watching my grandchildren play. Thank you very much. Mama's still alive. JPS saved my life." A lot of shout outs to different departments. Something magical has happened here because we listened to how people want to communicate with us and what they want to do. And I have to tell you, I'm not quite sure what to do with this wall now. But I think that is exactly our role, is to keep putting ideas and putting opportunities out with our patients and with our community to communicate and seeing where it goes. And this is what we have going on downstairs, so you can see it when you leave. That is what I have to say today. If anyone has any questions, I am ready to answer.
Great work is what I would say.
Yeah, this is wonderful. Thank you, Diana.
It's really special. And this wall is an example of a lot of special work we do. I don't know how long this wall will last out there, but if anyone has ideas, please share them with me later. This is the kind of stuff we want going on as we interact with our community.
Well, thank you so much, Diane. I really appreciate all of the listening hours and being able to really share those stories and giving people an opportunity to interact. Sometimes we get afraid of negative and negative stories, but a lot of times there are really, really beautiful, wonderful stories out there of all of the workers at JPS, everybody coming together, especially during these times. And I love the way, if y'all have not listened to the podcast, I love the way, even the season 2 promo was really, really fantastic. I loved it because it has this kind of American Life NPR type of feel to it. So I want to commend your entire team, all of JPS staff members, and continuing to highlight
other individuals that we haven't heard from before. So great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Diana, remind me how we access the podcast again. Is it on the website?
You know what? It is actually through any platform where you typically can access podcasts, and I'll send you a special link following this meeting.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, send it to me as well, please.
You bet. I'll send it to all of you.
So this is Robert Early at Lake Wobegon. Is that?
Let's hope not.
Where all the children are average, isn't that part of it?
Above average.
Above average. Yes.
All right.
Yep.
The next thing I have is committee reports and action. The first is Finance Committee, Steve Montgomery from Thursday, September 24th.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I know we may be getting a little tired of the football analogies, but I have one more. You know, we've been, a friend of mine who lives on the East Coast, I won't say exactly where, but was reflecting on the challenges we've all faced in this year 2020 with the pandemic and all the effects. And he is not a Cowboys fan, but he sent me a note the other day and said, we are officially in the fourth quarter of 2020. Man, I hope we're playing the Cowboys. Yeah. Hard to argue with that. So we had a finance committee meeting on the 24th, mostly attended by, I think, everyone on the call, or most people on the call were able to attend. We're continuing to see the effects of the pandemic, on patient visits and the financial impact on the organization. But I will give a shout out to the administration and to this board. I think we are marshaling our resources and managing them effectively. I've got confidence in our financial position right now. We just finished our fiscal year. We'll actually get a report on that at our next finance committee meeting later this month. But the September meeting, we review the August numbers. In addition, we forwarded to the full board's consideration several contracts, which are there and on the consent calendar. And that's my report, Mr. Chairman.
All righty, thank you. Any comments for Steve? Robert, can you still hear me?
Yes, sir.
The whole bottom part of my iPad is filled with the JPS Centered in Care powered by Pride.
Okay.
Like it's going to be a slide.
Okay.
So that I can't move my finger around it.
Yeah. If you'll just hit tap the bottom of your screen, and David, I don't know if you can help Dr. Weber more in that regard.
Yeah, we'll put it back on the grid mode here. Just give us a second.
Yeah, where's David when you need him? Where is David Mendenhall?
Robert, as much as I love you, inside jokes should be kept on the inside.
Mr. Early, I have a comment for you.
Yes, sir.
I had to work very closely with David Mendenhall to do some stuff. And at the end, he said, you know what? I like you more than I like Mr. Early.
Okay. Well, I will definitely remember that when you do his evaluation.
Yeah. Dr. Weber,
looks like we're getting a new IT guy.
So,
you're welcome, David.
Yeah.
Okay, next thing I have is Human Resources Committee under action, Dorothy DeBoe.
Well, thank you. And yes, we did meet on the 24th, and it was nice seeing the faces of the employees because we heard about them at our HR committee. So it's very nice to see y'all, and I'd like to say welcome. We look forward to working with all of you. We have some policies on the consent agenda, and I have one close item, then I'll have to come back, okay? That's it for me.
Okay. Any questions, comments for Dorothy? Okay, the next one is the Quality Committee, and we met on Thursday, October the 1st. And there are some things on the consent agenda, but the first thing is Rob Stevenson spent some time going over the PSI 90 data, which is our quality metrics. And I think everybody should be real pleased with most of the things that are going on. I mean, it's amazing when you have great leadership like Michael and Rob and Karen involved in all this stuff. They also gave us a short presentation on where we were with COVID-19 as of last Thursday. And I think the message that I got was we're relatively stable, but we were starting to tick up just a little bit. The next thing that Rob talked about came from the Innovation Center, which is a new team that they're putting together, which is called the Care Transition Team. And they're currently working on how that will all roll out, but they're going to be looking at outpatient and inpatients. And the last thing that for me was just wonderful to hear was about our stroke program that we have here, and all the things that they do from pre-hospital, where we actually have representation on the MedStar board, or maybe it's MedStar committee. I don't want to say the wrong thing. But the metrics that they go through to get patients in the door, into the CAT scanner, have the work done, and then the results are just awesome. And I've asked them to just come back again in another year to let us know what's happening. They've changed their goals a little bit, but you can't be anything but impressed by the stroke program and all the people that are involved in it. And it's not just doctors and nurses, it's techs and everybody else. And that's it for me on the Quality Committee. I'll be glad to answer any questions if there are any. Next thing I have is the other matters requiring board discussion, strategic plan update. Robert and Karen. I don't know who's going to be talking.
Dr. Weber, I want to indicate before any comments are made about this is a prime example of where you have an incredible chief operating officer like Karen Duncan. I tend to be more visionary in my thoughts. Karen is methodical and strategic and very planning, and the mesh of those two, I think, helped the organization. I couldn't have greater respect for Karen Duncan. She's a neat partner to have as we try to figure out how to advance patient care and how to advance an organization the size of JPS with the responsibilities it has. So what we've done, and I want to also thank Dorothy DuBose and others who have given us great insights, and many of you board members who have given me insights over the years. Strategic plan is something that people talk about, but few really truly get the art of putting it together. And so what we've tried to do is we've tried to put a plan together by which we're creating the Office of Strategic Planning so that we know from an operations standpoint what we're doing operationally, what JPS is doing on a daily basis that is in line with what you board members look at from a larger scale for the direction of JPS. That combination, I think, is a winning combination for JPS. So for the next 6 months, this office will really work at developing a strategic program and infrastructure that will drive the long-term range goals and directions that you as the board sets. So in that, Dr. Weber, what we'll do at your retreat is we will bring you a blueprint of what we see as daily operations and overall strategy for running an organization on a daily basis, and let you all say, that's good, that's not, this should be shifted, that should be shifted. But we're going to give you a blueprint that we hope will make a great deal of sense to you as board members, and then you as board members can say, that clearly helps us identify the 3 key issues that we need this organization to move forward with. So one of the things that we've done is, she's not necessarily a new person to JPS, but we wanted to bring her here today because her role is going to be new in heading up this office. Lauren Poe is going to be the Executive Director of Strategy and Business Development for JPS. Lauren is an impressive person. She came from us from College Station, where she was with St. Joseph's Health there. And what she did for them is she put together a 5-year integrated strategic plan that dealt with strategic approaches combined with financial approaches. Both had significant outcomes. The reason that we know that Lauren is right for this, not just because of her high level of intelligence and what she's good at doing, is because she ran our DISRIP office. In our DISRIP office, I would challenge any DISRIP in the state of Texas and show that JPS's was more successful. We did a better job in our DISRIP from our metrics and meeting our metrics because we had somebody at the helm that watched it every day, and that was Lauren Poe. So it was obvious that when you have a person with that talent, you move them into your office of strategic planning. So Lauren, I want Lauren to say a few words to you all to see Lauren, get an idea of who she is, because she's going to work with you as board members. This is not an isolated type process. This is not, we come up with a plan and ask you all to rubber stamp it or say yes or no to it. We're going to give you some ideas, and we want you to expand upon it. We want you to give your viewpoints to it. So I wanted Lauren to say a few words, and then Karen will finish us out and give us some of the ideas and the approaches that she sees. Because I will tell you that the partnership that Karen and I have developed will really create, in my opinion, a strategic plan that I think will benefit our patients, and you as board members can really play a keen role in that. So Lauren, if you don't mind.
Well, thank you, Robert. So I'm extremely excited to be a part of the JPS family. I will say, though, Steve and Charlie, Steve, I hope you're sitting down. I do wear maroon. So I did go to Texas A&M. I am part of the maroon cult. So hopefully we can still get along, though, as a happy family, right?
Not an option. Not an option.
Hey, at least we don't have Thanksgiving to feud over anymore, right? Unfortunately. But as Robert said, I do come from a background in Catholic healthcare, and I truly do have a heart and a passion for really serving our vulnerable patient population. It's at the core of what I do and the mission of what I do and like to do each and every day. You know, like Charles talked about earlier, really working to help bridge that gap of disparities within our community, health inequities, really is a strong conviction that I have. And so I'm so excited about this opportunity to be in this role. I will tell you that I have had the privilege to work under Dr. Duncan's leadership over the last 2.5 years as the DISRIP director and 1115 waiver. And I have the utmost respect for her. And she has been such a wonderful mentor. And she has truly taught me that we always put the patient first in everything that we do. And that is the number one thing that I respect about her, is that every decision she makes, every conversation you have with her, the patient is always number one. And so I truly value that leadership over the last 2.5 years. And just the last thing that I'll say is that I am so honored to be given this opportunity to really step into this new role for the organization, this new office. I'm so excited to get in there and roll up my sleeves and do the work. Of course, like Robert said, in partnership with you guys, in partnership with the executive team, and really continue the great mission that we already have and vision that we have of transforming the care delivery for our community. So I just want to say thank you.
Great, thank you.
I thought that Karen could close us out a little bit. So, and we're all three more than willing to take any questions y'all have and where you're going and what you think we're doing. But Karen, you might have a few closing comments about the office and the role that we're playing and what we hope to present to you all as board members.
Yeah, so first of all, I did pay Robert and Lauren to say those kind words about me. I do have to pay for that usually, so, and Chuck for your kind words too. But, you know, over the 3 years, I've heard the board speak about where they would like to see us go. I think with our new bond, or with our bond, we're going to be able to set some great direction. And I really do see strategy about direction coming together and beginning to have the same conversations about where we want to go. And so I don't have anything additional to add, except I'm just really excited about bringing all the different work that's going on across the organization together, that we all speak about it together, but more importantly, that we move together and making JPS to continue to be a great place, but even more so that we become a part of the communities that we serve. So that's all that I have additional, and we'll open it up to any questions.
One, Chuck, that we think will happen, has played a keen role in this as well, is when you look at the strategic plan, you look at it at an operations level. If you look at the strategic plan through the eyes of the board, you see a direction for the entire organization, and then you take that and overlay it over my goals and what Dorothy is working on with my new evaluation and how you evaluate the CEO of this organization. We now have, or will have, an incredible level of synergy of all of us, board, frontline staff, executive, all moving in the same direction because we all are well aware of what the goals are, from the highest levels to the most intricate levels of granular detail. We will all know that. And so that's what this office will definitely help us with. And we're already on the way to be able to present to you at your retreat what we think works.
Chuck, can I say something?
Sure.
Well, I just want to say to Robert, Karen, and Laura that they asked me to serve on as they were looking at the RFPs that concerning this. And I will say that if Lauren works with me the way, if she works with all of us the way she worked with me, you will definitely be involved. She sent me 26 RFPs to read. When I said, am I supposed to read all these? She said, yes, you are. And so it was my indication there that meant that she wanted us to be involved in what they are talking about and looking at. The board will be included, and it will be a strategic plan that, like Roger talks about, we're on the board will have maybe 3 or 4 priorities. Those will be the big ones, and that will be what we will evaluate Robert on. It is one of those plans that I think will really be a living document that we will be using and not just put on a shelf. Thank you.
I agree. For sure. Any other comments for Robert, Lauren, anybody?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Full speed ahead, Robert.
Okay, you now, I believe, Mr. Chair, have next item up, because that's it from us. I think you have consent items, and we are thankful. Thank you for allowing me to make the presentation.
You bet. We got the consent agenda next, and I'd entertain a motion and a second to approve it.
This is Dorothy. Move approval of the consent agenda.
Chuck, this is Charlie. I'll second.
All righty. Discussion by anybody? Not hearing. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, say no. Consent agenda, it passes. Next is item 13, report of legal counsel and or legal matters requiring discussion, update, deliberation, action, and or approval. Welcome, Daphne.
Thank you. No matters requiring discussion. I believe we had 52 contracts that were under 500K for the month of September.
And not to backtrack, but just to let the board know that I'm working very closely with Neil Adams. He's been very collaborative and gracious, and we'll continue to work behind the scenes. And hopefully he's listening. He's not on the live feed, but he's been very helpful. And I look forward to having the benefit of his historical knowledge and the great work that he's done for JPS over the years. And that's all I have.
All righty. The next thing I have is reconvene in executive session pursuant to Chapter 551 Texas Government Code for the following. We have a couple of things on the executive session. And if we could, you guys want to wait about 5 minutes? Is that satisfactory?
Yeah, Dr. Weber, this is David. Give me
we'll
5 minutes to get off the live feed.
0. Okay, reconvene in open session for deliberation and or actions deemed necessary regarding any matter listed on the closed session agenda. And seeing nothing other than Cheryl for privileges, entertain a motion and a second and approval for those privileges.
Move to approve. This is Zim.
Second motion, this is Steve Simmons.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. That's all I have. If anybody else has anything, let me know. If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at 14:42 or 2:42 p.m. on 8 October 2020.
All right. I just want to say the door